Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone is just up in front. She's doing the things that she loves. Are you? And are you pursuing health and happiness in every step of the day? I really hope so, guys. Please do me a favour. Like you always do, hit the like button for me on the video. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe on the channel. Join the 11,400 and change of people that have gone before. Welcome back to all of them. Welcome to the new. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's transfer news, views and clues on the Spurs Talk Show. Guys, look, there's two stories, but really it's all part of one bigger story. I'm sick and tired of talking about it, but we have to do a little bit, keep you updated. In case you've been living under a rock, over the weekend you will have heard that Harry Kane, the suitors for Harry Kane, the very irritating suitors of Harry Kane, have officially submitted a second proposal that is still way short of Tottenham's asking price, about 80 million euros plus 5 in add-ons, which works out to be about 68 million pound. Even if I was Daniel Levy, and I think that Harry Kane should leave if he's not happy at Tottenham anymore, I would still turn down 68 million, because an unhappy Harry Kane can still get you enough goals to get you into the 5th spot of the Champions League places, and that in and of itself is worth more than 68 million pound to Tottenham Hotspur. And maybe, just maybe, Harry Kane's goals next season will be the difference between that. So the number has to be significantly higher. How high? Well, Paul O'Keefe thinks 140 million euros is the number that Daniel Levy wants. If that's the case, I think Bayern Munich may as well forget it, because they won't pay the money, and Daniel Levy will never get that anywhere else either. And so he's taking the gamble on the fact that Harry Kane will be able to be convinced to stay at some point over the next 12 months. It's a huge, huge risk. And as I said before, if it's a risk that he takes and it doesn't work out, then Daniel Levy has to be considered guilty of gross negligence, I think, on that one. Because providing there is a bid that is in the Goldilocks zone, that's within that wiggle room where it's not too hot for the buyer but not too cold for the seller, then I think if Harry Kane wants out, then I think you have to take the money. What number is that? I would think it's 85 million pounds, so 100 million euros. Anything there or thereabouts, you have to shake hands on it. Wish the guy well. I personally still don't believe that the correct word to describe a player is ambitious or ambition if what he's doing is leaving a harder challenge to win a trophy to go somewhere else where he's playing with better players around him against weaker opposition generally, and where he's an absolute Tommy tap-in for a trophy. I would call that maybe being sensible. If you value and place a hell of a lot of integrity on this idea that without a trophy you're never a legacy GOAT, another, in my opinion, nonsense narrative that does exist but shouldn't. But listen, you can't shake reality. It is what it is. People say you're never a GOAT unless you win trophies. Harry Kane will be aware of that. And so him showing ambition to go to Munich, it's not how I would describe it, but it's irrelevant how I'd describe it. It is what it is, ticking a box, going and getting the job done. Maybe he can come back to Tottenham in a couple of years, get his Premier League record, still wearing the lily white jersey, having secured the legacy by playing with better players around you. That's for a different conversation. However, 85 million pounds is I think where you're going to find that there's room on the dance floor for both parties. Anything short of that, and I think Daniel Levy is probably within his rights to say that's not value. The difficult thing is how to feel really about all the noise that's going on from Bayern Munich's side. You've got Plettigol, or whatever that Twitter guy's name is, amplifying this narrative that there were meetings at Harry Kane's home with Harry Kane's father and his brother and his cousins, and the agents and the CEOs and CFOs of Munich and Thomas Tuchel. Apparently Bugsy Malone got an invite. Everybody was there. I didn't get an invite. She didn't take me as her +1. Can you believe it? Anyway, if that's all true, I don't know, how do you feel about it? Like, does it feel a little bit dirty? To me it does, actually. Although I'm very on top of and across this idea that it happens all the time. Daniel Levy being furious with Thomas Tuchel for doing that, and that he's gonna, you know, make Bayern bleed for him. I don't know whether that's a little bit hypocritical or not. I mean, I'm pretty sure that this is just the modern day version of tapping up. It happens everywhere. Both parties are probably on the receiving end of it and the giving end of it. I don't think you can have your cake and eat it. I don't think you can operate in and around the same mechanisms of trying to leverage players or leverage clubs to sell players. If you're doing it, then expect it to be done to you. Do I feel good about the fact that Harry Kane would do that? No. When did it even happen? I'm not entirely sure. Because he's been away on international duty for the previous 2 weeks since his holiday. It must have happened right at the end of the season, or maybe during the season. Who knows? In any event, if it's true that he is desperate to leave, as long as the right money is bid and it's reasonable, I think you have to take it. I think you do. Because I don't really want a player here who desperately doesn't want to be here, who's under duress. You know, I think it will tarnish the whole concept. And again, it begs the question, do you want Harry Kane as your captain in a scenario where he's having meetings with other clubs and people like Christian Falk of CF Bayern and Pletzigo, whatever it's called. All the German sports media are doing everything they can, basically under the instruction of Bayern Munich's chiefs, to unsettle the situation, to unsettle Tottenham fans, to make us have these conversations of, do we really want him if this is the scenario? Maybe to unsettle Daniel Levy. I don't know, it's going to play out as it plays out, but here's where I want to take the story. In a world where there is a number that is decided and agreed upon, and that might look like 100 million euros in my mind, then where do we go next? Well, according to all reports this morning, and I don't know who Sports Media Set is, an Italian journalist, Italian journal. Apparently, according to Twitter, it's tier 1.5. I don't even know what that means. But they put out an Italian press report, and it's been picked up by all of the aggregators, but it's also been picked up by journals with some credibility. I think Football.London's Chelsea page spoke about it as well. And that story is that Tottenham are going to hijack Chelsea's bid, and Manchester United are thinking about bidding for him as well, with a monster 68 million euro bid for DUSAN VLAHOVIC. Listen, he's a player that has struggled at Juve since his big money move there last year. A player that all Tottenham fans wanted last summer. All Tottenham fans were furious with the idea of him going to Arsenal. And a player that, you know, might be achievable. The reason why it might be achievable is because of two real reasons. One, you can kind of moot the argument that he wouldn't leave Juve to come and play for a team not playing in Europe, because Chelsea is one of those teams, Tottenham is one of those teams, but so are Juve. As of yesterday, they gave up. They walked away from European qualification for this season as a compromise in their settlement with UEFA, so that they are now apparently free and clear to get on with whatever they were doing before, or hopefully not anymore. All that kind of drama and trouble they've been going through. One of the compromises that they would sacrifice Europe for this season. So if he stays at Juve, he won't be playing in Europe. So that argument's a bit mooted. Plus, of course, you've got the Paratici relationship. Tottenham do have a fairly decent working relationship with Juventus. There's not many clubs that you can make that claim with Daniel Levy being Daniel Levy. But Tottenham do seem to have a working relationship with them, and also have an ability, Daniel Levy seems to have an ability to negotiate rather well with the Juventus board. Obviously it helps that they are in financial dire straits to a degree. And so there's enough about the story that makes it make sense to me. I don't really know what sports media set are basing it on, whether there's actual truth to the story or whether they're putting two and two together, kind of like what I've just done for you, and go, there's a story there. If Harry Kane does leave, Tottenham need a new striker. They're going to need to replace him with a somewhat big name. They're not going to spend all the money. VLAHOVIC has struggled. Juventus are broke. There's a relationship there. There's no Europe, blah, 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 blah. That's a good enough reason for a story. If that's all it is, then obviously I'm sorry. But I don't know. Tottenham will need a replacement number 9. And VLAHOVIC has really struggled in Allegri's Juve team. But that is a very defensive-minded team that just doesn't utilise his skill set very well. In a Postecoglou system, I would imagine that a player like him, who is very, very gifted, he's fast, he's strong, he's tall, he's good in the air, he's two-footed, he does work hard, he can do the press, he's fast, he's young, he's athletic. I do think that I think it would work. I think it would work really well. I think you'd see a closer version to the VLAHOVIC from the season before last than the one that you saw last season. Listen, you're never going to be able to replace Harry Kane, ever, right? You're never going to be able to replace the 35 goals from one player. Maybe with players like James Maddison coming in and being the locksmith, you're going to see the opportunity for him to get maybe 10 goals in and of himself, and you're going to see opportunities for Decky and for Sonny and for Richarlison to maybe contribute more than they did last season. But there's still going to be a gap there without a recognised number 9 that you can rely on to put the ball in the back of the net. And you know how I feel about Richarlison? I don't think he's that guy. VLAHOVIC, I'd be okay with it. I'd be actually pretty excited about it. Move on to the next generation. He's young, and if we can keep him happy and grow together, then I think it would be a really interesting, an interesting option. And I don't think it's without or beyond the realms of feasibility to see it happening. Do I think he'd be more likely to go somewhere else, like Chelsea or like United? Yeah, for sure. United is a bigger draw as well, but stranger things have happened, guys. And if it's not him, it's going to have to be someone else. We have spoken about the other options out there, but none of those are being linked with Tottenham today. So I'm just going to stick with the links that are out there. And as I say, sports media set, I've never heard of them, but in Italian world football, they are allegedly a tier 1.5, whatever that means. Forgive me if you think it's nonsense. I'm just putting out whatever's in the news. Let me know your thoughts on Harry Kane. What's the right number for you? Let me know about VLAHOVIC, or if you've got a preference, then who else would you see in a world where he comes in? I'll see you later on, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, bye-bye.